Alright, it's March 6, 2022, so the 5th day of Lent. Unfortunately, I had a relapse overnight. I haven't been sleeping very well recently, and I had tossed and turned and became a little bit delusional, and unfortunately, a part of that was that I relapsed. But only 2 lapses in, I want to say, 11 days now. Quote me if I'm wrong there, because I haven't been sleeping very well. But I was thinking about how I'm in Ellensburg right now because there's an event that I want to see in the sky. Last night and tonight. And I was thinking about how I want to enjoy every ounce of Ellensburg out of it, because we'll never know what Ellensburg will be like a year, 2 years, 10 years from now, what it will be like when I bring my children here. 5 years ago, I was in Warsaw, Poland. I had gone to a conference in Amsterdam, and then I took a train to Warsaw, and I stayed at a hostel in downtown Warsaw. And I got to know the owner's daughter. She was studying art, and I was showing her my computer games, and she suggested some graphics to the game, and I'm still using her suggestions to this day. And I showed her how to view Jupiter in the sky. So Warsaw is relatively dark compared to, maybe not so much compared to Ellensburg, but definitely compared to Seattle. And I had vowed to go back to see her again, but unfortunately the next couple of years the Computer Olympiad was held in Asia. We had one in Taipei and another one in Macau. And so I couldn't find time to go to Warsaw as well. And then obviously after the one in Macau, we came back and locked down, unfortunately. And the hostel, for some time, the city of Warsaw took it over and turned it into a quarantine facility. So you would fly to Poland and you would need to quarantine for 2 weeks. I think they shuttled you to the hostel. I remember thinking, at the beginning of the pandemic, I remember wondering if I ever got forcefully quarantined like that, if I would have trouble getting access to healthy foods, right? I have autism that I control with healthy diet. You would not want to see me if I were eating, well, McDonald's. You would not want to see me. I would probably be institutionalized. Unfortunately, that concept doesn't get very well received, right? I've been hospitalized in the last 20 years since I started eating healthier. I spent time in jail, believe it or not, and people will not understand the concept that food is medicine, right? Can you imagine going to the hospital or going to jail and not being allowed to take life-saving medications, right? This is kind of the equivalent of that, and people won't understand, right? And so at the beginning of the pandemic, I got really concerned, and I carried around a lot of healthy foods that I need around me. And also, I practiced fasting, because I thought if the worst push comes to shove, I could always fast, not only to keep myself from eating unhealthy stuff, but almost like a protest, a hunger strike, if you will. Anyways, so they became a quarantine facility, and last year they finally took the hostel back. And I asked I talked to the owner's daughter on Facebook, actually, and I asked her about my concerns about, because she knew that I was eating healthier. And so I asked her, well, what happens in a quarantine situation if you have dietary restrictions and all of that? And her answer gave me a nice warm fuzzy feeling that at least in Poland it works a little bit better than here in the United States, right? She explained that, well, yeah, actually they did have some people who had chronic health problems, and it was not the end of the world. So that's good, and they survived the quarantine, so that's good. And I was making arrangements to go back to stay there, and unfortunately, as I speak right now, today's March 6, 2022, they have become a refugee camp. And she was showing me video and recent activities they had done, and there were like 10, 12 people in one room, right? I think when I stayed there was, 3 or 4 beds in the room, and now they're staying 10 or 12 people to the room. And it makes you wonder, they're gonna undo all the work that they did in 2020, right? And that's kind of unfortunate. But it makes me wonder, now that I'm in Ellensburg viewing, well, later tonight, the Beehive constellation. It makes me wonder what will become of Ellensburg 2 years from now, 5 years from now, right? And even today, I look at the sign, and unfortunately, there's a great worker strike going on, and McDonald's is paying $16 an hour. Not that I would work there, because I don't support what they're doing. I wouldn't eat there either. Now, here's the thing. I'm thinking to myself, everywhere I look, it seems like everybody's eating healthier. Who's eating McDonald's? And then it dawns on me, it seems like the people who are eating healthy are eating healthier, and the people who are eating junk food are eating even worse nowadays. And I was thinking, why does that happen? Now, I think the problem is in the United States, we don't like to accept each other for what they eat. We take it very personally, right? I work at a technical college, and I gotta be careful about how I let my colleagues know about my eating habits, because some people will just think I'm crazy. Other people will just think it's a joke. See, I do private tutoring. I had I think it was a 3rd or a 4th grader, and I had to explain to him, he wanted to give me something, I think it was on Valentine's Day, some kind of candy, and I explained to him, not for me. And he just made fun of it, right? And can you imagine, instead of saying, that I have dietary restrictions, imagine I had said that I had just come back from getting chemotherapy or having open heart surgery. Can you imagine a whole classroom of kids just going into an uproar about talking about that, right? But for some reason, when it's dietary restrictions, it's perfectly okay. Now, it happens with healthy foods. It happens with unhealthy foods too, right? You can be made fun of for eating healthy or eating unhealthy. I actually get both of them, because most people who eat healthy like I do, they don't like to be social about their food, right? They would never go to a restaurant, but I like to be social as well. So I get to hear both ends of the conversation, right? When I go out to a restaurant, people make fun of me for eating healthy, and then amongst my healthy eating friends, they make fun of me for eating unhealthy. I don't think it has to be that way. I think we should recognize that food is a very individualized choice, right? Just like I was just applying for a job at a tech startup in Phoenix, and on the website, it said that we respect your choice on, well, you know what drug, here in 2022, right? But unfortunately, when I go to the interview, I don't know if they'll do that, but I have a stinking feeling they won't be so respectful on choice with your diet, right? But it's the same thing. It's a personal bodily choice, right?